Welcome to Section 31. Now we're recording. All right, very good. Welcome to Section 31, episode number 276. I'm Dan Hammond.
I am still Rogue Schindler.
All right. This week is the leftover, a bit from last week's episode where we talked to great time length about Gen Con. We're going to talk a little bit about the animated series. There's an episode that we both watched a while back. We'll get that caught up, and then we can move on to a fresh episode next week. We've got another convention that was attended by one of us, and a tournament that neither of us attended, and a spoiler for a set that neither of us worked on. How's that?
I've played it.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna have to ask you some questions about it because it looks interesting, but there are some points. Well, we'll get to it later. Let's start off. We did have a local event. There were 5 of us, and by us I mean them, that showed up. five San Diegans. How's that? And it looks like Johnny went with 13 victory points. Was the winner with the Big Fat Romulan Spock deck.
Which, if you look at it, is not really that big fat or fat.
All right, I'll have to look.
I guess for our meta, I guess 60 cards is fat for other people's metas, but
yeah, if you're gonna face, well, yeah. It looks like he got a bye, a true tie, a modified win, and a full win. So we didn't lose, but Charlie spread him out to a true tie, and it looks like he probably lost the coin toss to see who's going to get the bye. That's funny.
Yeah, it looks it looks like a crazy outcome, and then Charlie and Thomas tied and had to go head to head for the tiebreaker. A pretty wild finish for a 5-person tournament, I'd say.
Yeah, it looked like a good time. 4 rounds. It's always good to see. And there was only 2 deck lists posted. Johnny's and Matt Kirk's all are yesterday's Enterprise, which is entertaining. Have you noticed that the deck builder comes up a heck of a lot faster than it used to?
It does. You know why?
Yep. No, not really.
Okay. Well, 2 reasons. One is that Chris Lobin is awesome.
A given, but worth
that's actually the 3rd reason. But no, a number of months ago, actually back when we just before we released achievements again, we got to upgrade the server space. So it's a little bit faster because of that. But it also, I don't know, it's probably been a while since you've made a deck or had to worry about achievements, but the deck builder no longer automatically checks for achievements every time, which is why it used to load. It takes so long to load because it was like going, this one and this one and this one and this one. I can't remember. And so now it will just, whatever you had last time, it comes up. But then if you hit a button, it'll refresh and check again. So
sounds like a smart way of doing it.
It is, and that was an adjustment that Chris made in addition to expanding the server. So between the 2 of those, yeah, the decks are loading lightning fast now. Mad props to him. Yeah,
no, it's awesome. I mean, I feel like we can talk about a deck and not have to fill time before it comes up. But yeah, it looks like
we just did.
No, that's funny. Matt's deck has a lot of achievements that he was going for. The TNG tough. So all these are strength missions. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That's tough. And they're all unique in the lemma file. That's tough too.
But did he really do strength missions?
Probably not. They're probably that or something else.
No. Hey, a signal for rescue. That's only strength.
Okay. That's probably the one he didn't do.
This is dual. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. All of the rest of them are cunning or strength. So,
but
you can probably cheat that way. But
he's got the battleship crew. He's got Data, and Riker's pumping everybody up, and
yeah, they're not weak.
Worf governor guy and Tasha with her phaser, and I'm sure that's helpful. Mott's probably not helping.
Yeah.
Neither is Loxana. But Kelly's in there, or Sloane's in there. That'll help. All right. Well, okay.
The old fake out. It's like,
yeah,
going for TNG strength, but I'm not going for TN strength. But I am going for TNG strength. Ah.
Yeah. All right. No, I like it. That looked fun. I wonder if anyone was playing the Voyager deck that there's 3 unknowns there, which is disappointing. But the tournament was only day before yesterday, so we'll give him a couple more days before we complain about not entering deck lists. Says the guy who probably doesn't have all his deck lists from Gen Con put in yet. But all right, well, congrats to Johnny. Did you tell if they played triples afterward?
I did not see a tournament listed, so maybe they got to the end of 4 rounds and were like, "That's it, done."
Yeah.
I know Johnny has been having to do one or the other recently, so if he bailed and then they would have been down to 4, and maybe if somebody else bailed, then that would have done it.
Yeah, and I couldn't make it down there. I wasn't feeling very well. But, hey, I'm glad the Trek was played. I'm sorry I couldn't make it down. You were out of town, though. You were up in Anaheim again, yes?
I was, for the third time this year. Not even for third time this year, the third convention this year, probably like the 5th or 6th time this year. Caitlin's best friend from high school is an Imagineer for Disney, Disney in general, based in Disneyland, but she's worked on both parks, and she offered to have us be guests and get us discount tickets for Disney's biannual convention called D23.
Does biannual in this case mean twice a year or every 2 years? Every 2 years. Okay.
This is the 4th one, so it's not an old con. And it was very interesting being regular con goers because, it was across the street. It was at the Anaheim Convention Center, so it's right next to Disneyland. They had a lot of Disney employees there either working or volunteering. And it was very interesting to see the things that Disney did well because they were similar to a theme park, like lines. And then things that they did very, very poorly because this is not a theme park and they were treating it like one, like entry. So they had this, you've gone to Comic-Con or any con and you can go into any, most doors and get in. And then when you're in the lobby and you can walk back and forth. And then to get in the convention, you have to go through specific doors and they check your badge and you go in. They had one door to get in the building. They had QR code badges, which were easily counterfeitable, from what I hear. Considering I got in by accident on Saturday using my Friday badge, even though they scanned it. And then you all have to go in through the same door to get into the floor, even though it's huge, because they want to control your experience. And they don't want you to come in any door. They want you to come in the main grand entrance like you're on Main Street and see everything, even though there wasn't really anything to see there. That was where they had a big stage set up and things were happening, but there was vendors all over the place, and man, it was a madhouse. And that's why we showed up for the con that started at 9 o'clock at 11:30, and there were still not one, but 2 gigantic lines outside waiting to get into the convention.
Is it because it's way bigger than this year than it has been in the past, or what?
I honestly don't know. Once inside, I never felt overcrowded, not even like WonderCon crowded, which is about the same venue size. They used about the same amount of space in that convention center. So I don't think it was as big or close to WonderCon, but it was Disney, so they just had to control everything. Everything was overly controlled, and so that meant that some things were awesome, like there were only 3 rooms and a very few panels, but those panels were very big, and so they were expecting high anticipation, and so they had an entire. There's one thing that's unusual about the Anaheim Convention Center compared to most is that there's like a sub basement, or there's a basement level.
Is it Hall E, right?
It's Hall E. And it's not really much of a hall because there's so many pillars in the way, so you couldn't really do much down there. Usually there's registration of some kind or something, but they had that entire room set up as overnight line space. So if you wanted to go to one of the panels, or even same day line space for the hour-long lines, and not only that, instead of using the what is it called, the arena, which they didn't use at all, I was shocked. But apparently it only seats about 5,000, 5,500 in a stage configuration, whereas they were able to create their own stage. They literally built their own stage from scratch in Hall D.
Sure.
That was configured to set up for 7,500 people, which was directly above Hall E. So literally, they had you split it into 3 sections. The lines were already configured in 3 sections, and when it was time to go up, they opened the big rolly doors and they took your line up the escalator and into your seats.
Well, that's really cool. That's very well done.
Which was amazing. It was just like a startling contrast, because that was the first thing we did, compared to all the other lines that were just so incredibly hosed. So it was definitely an interesting study in contrasts, just the things that they knew how to do and the things that were odd to them, because they don't run conventions regularly, and they didn't, I guess, think to bring anybody in to consult on that. But the programming was interesting. It was a lot more sterile than a normal convention. It was very much corporate trade show rather than fan presentation.
A lot more industry types, you think, in the audience?
I don't think so. That's the thing, is it's exclusively a fan convention. Not exclusively, but it's primarily a fan convention. It is, they had a media section, but it wasn't like they brought in, specifically corporate bigwigs to show this stuff off to them. This was, it's named after and for the Disney fan club, and was only 2 years ago. The first 2 were only for D23 members. And these last 2, they've started letting non-D23 members buy tickets. But it was presented, in a very corporate trade show type of way. And it really was kind of painful, especially the first one. It was really cool to see it. We went to the animation panel, which showed all of the Disney studio. It was Disney Animation Studio and Disney Pixar pictures coming in the next 2 years. So we got to see clips for like 8 movies.
Nice.
And stars, and they talked about some of it, but a lot of the presentation, we were making fun of it at first, but there was a giant teleprompter in the back of the convention center in the hall, and so it was they would bring out celebrities who were going to be in it, and it was all very, well, I bet you were excited to be in this movie, huh, Jill? Oh, yes, it's been a dream of mine to be in a Disney movie animation princess since I was a child. I remember blah, 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 blah. But enough about me. Let's look at the clip. And oh, man, the clips were cool, but it was so bad that Caitlin refused to go to any more panels. Like, she just couldn't handle how canned it was. It was so painful. I braved the next day, because that was the major panel. Disney owns everything now, including Star Wars and Marvel. So they had one panel for everything called the live action movie panel, which was kind of staggering. I thought there would be a Marvel panel and a Star Wars or Lucasfilm panel and a Disney panel, but they rolled it all into one, and it was.
How long was that?
It was 2.5 hours. The Disney animation panel was supposed to be 2 hours and lasted 3.
So how long? Oh my, okay.
So yeah, that's why they only had like 2 panels in that room a day, and they were hours apart. So, they could go over, I guess. It was kind of weird, but we got to see some really cool stuff. I stuck it out. I got up at 5:30 Saturday morning to go get in line. I didn't camp out like a lot of people did, but the live action panel was at 10:30 Saturday, and I was hoping, fingers crossed, that the canned bits would be less canned, because it was going to be a bunch of people who are used to doing Comic-Con. Star Wars, Marvel, all these guys are used to going to conventions, and dealing with people and talking like they're not robots, and it did not disappoint. There were bits that were a little painful, especially in the middle, but they opened with Marvel Studios, and then they did Disney live action in the middle, and then they closed with Star Wars, which was smart.
Sure.
But they had a little clip from Doctor Strange, not the actual movie, but Benedict Cumberbatch talked about it on the screen, and they had some art. They had cut together some art stills from the storyboards to kind of do a mini trailer. And then Anthony Mackie, who plays Falcon, and Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, showed up for the Civil War panel. They flew them in overnight from Germany because they're still filming the last week of filming. Wow. And they got to get back on a plane that afternoon to fly back and continue filming.
My.
But they were very fun and a little punchy.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, Anthony Mackie is always very excited about everything. He's just so hyped to be in the Marvel Universe. So it's really fun to see a fan in there. And he was excited. And Chris Evans was really giddy because he's like, oh my God, you guys, the footage is so good. And, he just had no, I don't know if he just didn't have the will to put on the face anymore, but he was just kind of giddy fanboy, which was also very cool. And that footage was amazing. They literally, Marvel puts all these Easter eggs in. They put in an Easter egg just for the D23 clip so that you could see it. And I barely caught it. But at one point, they have a guy locked in a pod-like cell, kind of like they do with Hulk and the Avengers, or Thor and the Avengers. And it's level D, and on the other side it says cell 23.
Nice.
So that was a nice little thing, and the clip was amazing. The movie looks so good, and a lot of action sequences and fun stuff. But easily the funniest part was the end, where they pull Paul Rudd out of a van where Hawkeye has clearly roofied him and thrown him in the back of a van and kidnapped him, and he's like, and then he gets out and there's Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson and Wanda Maximoff, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're the Avengers! You're Captain America!" I mean, he looks at Wanda and says, "Like, that's Captain America. I know him. I mean, I know who you are too. You're cool, but that's Captain America." He's totally nerding out. It was hilarious. I think he's going to be a great addition to that movie, but. That carried me through the rest of the Disney stuff, and to get to the Star Wars, which the Star Wars news was disappointingly light, but they did cap it off with the announcement of the 14-acre Star Wars land coming to both Disneyland and Disney World.
Did they make any pronouncement about where the heck they're going to put it?
Yes, they're going to take out Toontown. And expand backward. That whole back area, all that backstage area is going to disappear and become part of Star Wars land. And it's going to be fully immersive, by which I mean like the shops, and there's going to be a cantina and shops and rides, and all of the cast members are in full costume, makeup, character. So it's always going to be, oh, where'd you fly in from? And, going to get you a, jerry juice and, some bantha steak.
It should be entertaining. 10 years, maybe 5 years. How long?
That's they did not say. They just announced that it's going to happen. So,
Well, the Cars Land expansion is pretty big and kind of immersive and has a bunch of rides. And that took about 5 or 6 years? So was it longer than that?
I don't remember. I thought it took less than that. It took like 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
But this could be a lot more involved.
But I would imagine they want to have it as soon as possible, because the movies start coming out. They're going to want everything.
Oh yeah.
In there, right?
I would assume they want to have it out before Episode 9 comes out.
Yeah, certainly.
But yeah, it's supposed to be set on a non-specific or a non-existing yet rim planet. So it's actually supposed to be a location on your way out into wild space, said Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, as if he had no idea what the hell he was talking about.
Yeah.
which was pretty entertaining.
That's certainly going to change the traffic patterns of the park, isn't it? I mean, because usually everyone runs in and goes left for Indiana Jones or right for Space Mountain and Star Tours, and there's nobody running toward the back of the park. But everyone's going to go past.
Yep, straight through
straight through the heart of everything. Oh my, to get to the back there. Well, that's all right. Well, that's entertaining.
Or you can get on the train and go around.
Sure. That train lets off right there at Toontown.
Yeah.
All right. They're going to have some funny thing where the train goes in to the area and all these panels come in from the wall and, deck it out into something futuristic. And as it goes back out, the panels come off and it turns into a regular train again.
I was just thinking that. Some kind of transport.
All right. I wonder what they're going to do for Star Tours. Are they going to leave that on the far side of the park? Because that's like as far away from you as you can get.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would expect. My thinking is that because of the nature of Star Tours, you could leave it and set whatever planet that is as a new destination. Like, oh, we're going to go fly to, Star Wars Land planet.
Sure, and then we get sidetracked. Once you guys just walk, it'll be faster.
Star Wars Lantooine.
Lantooine. I like it. All right. So, guessing not much in the way of Star Trek news coming out of D23.
No, all of the Star Trek stuff was ancillary. Like, I saw Chris Pine for one of his other movies, and J.J. Abrams was there.
Yeah.
And Eric Bana is trying to kill Chris Pine in that same movie, which was kind of funny. He played Nero.
Yeah. I'm just connecting the dots there. That's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess from the future of Hollywood animation to the past of Hollywood animation. How's that?
Sure.
Shall we talk about the Infinite Vulcan that we've bandied about for about 3 weeks now?
I think so. I don't know if it's much of a tease, but we should definitely.
Well, let's talk about
it before we have to watch it again.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen an episode of the animated series in weeks because of all the cons and not talking about it. So it's been a while. Actually, if you could believe it, my daughter said, "Hey, we're gonna watch another episode of that cartoon, Star Trek." So you can tell it's been a while. If you go to the Memory Alpha page, that picture in the beginning just sums it up. There's a giant Spock who's hunched over, looking at a bunch of people down on the ground, standing next to King Neptune or whoever that is there. Wow, this whole thing from start to finish was just weird.
Yes, agreed.
There's a bunch of people who are plants, intelligent plant people, and I thought, okay, that's interesting. Plant, walking around doing stuff, and there's all kind of plant monsters and flying plant creatures, and then we'll get to look out. Here's our boss. Oh, it's a human guy who's really tall. I really felt.
How do you know human biology so well? Oh, we have a human here. Did we not mention that?
Yeah. I think you mentioned previously. Was this the Walter Koenig episode?
It is written by Walter Koenig, which is interesting since he didn't get to participate, vocally. Yeah.
This was the only one that he did, right?
It is.
It's too bad because I would have liked to have seen some other, because this was pretty bad. I really didn't like it at all. There are just so many. I mean, there were some interesting bits, but it just seemed so weird and odd.
Yeah, it just kind of takes a left turn. Like the first half doesn't seem to have anything to do with the second half.
Yes, that the whole what is this thing? It's a mystery, and then it turns out to be McCoy's grandpa's weed spray and what?
Oh, it looks like my granddaddy's weed spray still works wonders.
On plants
What?
from other planets, and sure.
Uh,
Uh,
and then the finale is basically a ripoff of Mirror Mirror, where it's
Yeah.
like, well, how it's another version of Spock. How do we defeat another version of Spock? We make him do logic.
Yeah, and we're gonna leave that Spock behind because why not? And he's super tall, and sure, we'll never hear from him again. But
Yep.
whatever.
So that means over the entire span of all of Star Trek, there is another Spock, another giant Spock out there,
Giant Spock,
Spock 2, if you will, going from the other guy's naming convention, doing logic, clone logic,
Yes,
plant logic.
plant. He's doing plant work.
That's right. He's helping the plants become not sterile.
There's a wow. There's a green-blooded, green thumb joke in there somewhere. I just can't find it. Yeah. So there's just a lot to hate about this episode. We've rated episodes in the past, and I've been pretty. I've rated them pretty high, but I can't give this one more than a star out of 5 because, wow, they were just so much awful.
Well, in
bad.
And they finally try to do the banter and just fail horribly. Why, Mr. Sulu, that was an excellent body throw there against that creature. You should show me that sometime. Oh, but Captain, you can't. It's not just about physical ability. You have to be inscrutable. It's like, why, Mr. Sulu, you're one of the most scrutable men I know. What?
Yeah.
What is that? None of that makes sense.
not at all. It was just awful.
And it just keeps piling nonsense on top of each other.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I looked up to see what the definition of scrutable was because I don't think I've ever heard that. Capable of being deciphered. That's a roundabout connection to what we're back to the game. But man, no, just bad, all bad. If you're going to watch them, I recommend that you watch this once, possibly on fast forward. But man, we'll move on. I mean, there's oddly enough, okay, as horrible as this episode was, if looking at it from design side, there's actually a ton of things that will be interesting cards, right?
Oh, sure.
I mean, you got flying plant monsters for dilemmas. You've got
bats.
You got the bat things. You've got this this super tall guy who would be personnel. Maybe he's like what do they give Keiko? Biology. what do they give for botany?
Sure.
Science and biology. Yeah. So he could
exobiology.
Or maybe he's some kind of leader of the one thing interesting, they talked about him being from the eugenics wars, so you can put Khan in his lore, and that's one more guy that can go in the Khan deck, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he had probably some connection with that original group.
Yep. So yes, Spock 2, can't forget about Spock 2.
How about clone your personnel, and they're double all their stats, but they can't be moved by ship or shuttlecraft. They have to stay on the planet because they're too giant.
That'd be hilarious. Your whole deck strategy is to bring this clone machine. All right, come over here, Kim, Ensign Kim. Now you're 20 feet tall and all your skills are doubled, but we're gonna leave you here. Sorry.
But now we'll promote you.
Yeah, you could be.
President Kim of the planet.
Sorry, there's no women here. Better luck next time. All right. Yeah, they even use mind meld, so that'd be
That's right.
Use another version of that.
Inscrutably, how they managed to save other Spock, because apparently cloning in this particular fashion almost or does kill the original host.
Yeah, but they're 20 feet tall. So okay, that's the clone machine, right? You make somebody, you give them added strength, you double their skills, but they get a countdown icon and they can never leave or something like that.
Oh,
all right,
man.
Yeah. Again, all kinds of bad. We're gonna talk about the next one next time. Let me scroll down here. What's next? Oh no.
Oh God, what is it?
The magics of Megas 2, and T2 is spelled TU. Yeah. Oh my. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna read that until we watch the episode. But that is
let's save that for next week.
That's awful. All right. Okay. That's thankful at the end of that. While we were talking, one of our agents sent some intel for me, and let's set the record straight. TV played Bajoran, right? JD played Equinox, and Charlie, who managed to fight the winning Romulan deck to a tie, played 5 Space Voyager. So that's exactly the deck I was talking about. So that will be interesting to take a look. Well, maybe we'll get a deck posted and we can see what he played. And they indeed did play tribbles, and apparently Matt creamed everyone. So we'll get some details on that at some point, hopefully.
All right.
I'd like to see if trouble was played and how the trouble played out, as it were.
Nice.
Okay.
But speaking of intelligence,
yes,
we do also have a spoiler from the next set, which, if you have noticed, there is a new expansion icon on the splash page of trekcc.org.
Is that the multi-dimensional transporter device?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Or a version of it, which is, of course, indicative of crossover. So we have a new incident, it looks like, from that set. This is text only, so we're not going to bother sharing the screen because there's no image to show you, but we can read it off to you. It is called "You Can't Kill the Captain."
And do you think was that refresh memory? Is that a line from one of the crossover episodes, or maybe this is a playtest title?
I don't. It doesn't say it's a playtest title. Usually, our intel will specify that.
Yeah.
But I don't recall.
I don't remember that line specifically.
I don't remember that line specifically either. But I do remember that Sisko dying was a big issue in the Mirror Universe. So it may be a reference back to that, or how bringing in the captain. I don't know. Maybe it's Sisko returned. Alpha Sisko comes in. You can't kill the captain.
Yeah.
I have to look that up. But this incident plays on table. So it's not a seeding incident. It's a playing incident. At the start of each of your turns, lots of icons, Deep Space Nine, Federation, Terran Empire personnel with the highest integrity, your choice of a tie, gains VIP until the end of your turn.
All right, so help me. You've played Terran Empire a lot more than I have. Are they short on VIPs?
Yes.
All right, well,
there is a significant dearth of VIPs. From this, they have to be blue. So the top of my head, I'm going to say Smiley is the likeliest choice.
Yeah. All right, I have a line for you. We thought you were dead. You can't kill the captain. He's too ornery.
So it's Smiley talking about bringing
Very
back.
Good.
Okay.
All right, so we can confirm, not a playtest title. Unlikely.
Unlikely.
All right.
So that's just the first part of it, though. So you play it, and you get your highest integrity fed Terran Empire gets VIP till the end of the turn. But then, when your DS9 Terran Empire personnel dies, any DS9 Terran Empire personnel dies, you may place them here. Those personnel here are not in play, so you can play them again. And then once each turn, You may discard a card from here to give one of your DS9 Terran Empire personnel any skill until the end of turn.
Wow. All right. The way that's worded, I'm guessing that's not a facing a dilemma kind of thing like you would get in 2E. So much like
No,
many
because
of the other skill gains,
yeah.
you do it, in your execute orders phase as, okay, captain's gonna, well, let's discard Mirror Cisco, and the this other person is going to gain a random skill. All right, that's neat. That's a nice little generic skill gain. Somebody has to have died.
I don't remember Cisco having all of these skills. Well, you don't remember correctly then.
Right.
Because I totally have these skills, totally not from another parallel universe.
Any skill until the end of the turn. All right. Well, you can only do it once, so solving reunion is probably out. But although one of those O'Briens does have Miracle Worker, so you can gain cantankerousness and have Spock show up. That would be hilarious.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. But okay, never mind, because this has got to have a DS9 icon there. So unless we get a DS9 Spock, unlikely.
Unlikely.
Well, Spock, not Mr. Spock.
Right.
Okay, very good. That's interesting. I like it. Oh, and you got to tell them what the collector number is.
Of course. This is 31V. So fill in because we got it. That's why we picked it.
It is an incident, and there's no other information on here. Incidents usually don't have any kind of flavory text unless it's in italics in the middle of the text, so nothing there. And no image, so we have no idea what this is going to be, but I'm guessing probably Smiley being, celebrating the captain with a... I just imagine him saying that with a bottle of grog in his hand or something.
Yeah, that does definitely sounds like, he's raising a toast next to the reluctant Alpha Cisco.
All right, so, okay, if you're playing this, you got to have the DS9 icon, so that limits all the TOS Terran Empire guys, right?
Right. Yeah, and that seems to be, the running theme. They're trying to limit you to one or the other to get things working.
No, it makes sense. We're going to get a big influx of Terran Empire folks, so it makes sense to have all their presence. That you get all the fun stuff only work if you play by the rules.
Right.
That sounds good to me. That sounds like how I've done it in the past.
I'm curious to see if there is a card that downloads this, because a lot of those play incidents are harder to get into play when you need them.
Yeah.
This feels more like a tent card that you wait until somebody special downloads it when you need it.
You definitely want to have this out before somebody dies, right?
Right.
And I'm going to guess in the mirror universe, there's going to be a lot of ways to die.
They do kill each other an awful lot.
I mean, not just dilemmas though, because they kill each other for profit, right? This is mirror universe.
Exactly.
So maybe that's your combo. You use one of those things to kill people, and then you can use it to turn into skills later on.
Wow, I'm trying to remember if Art of Diplomacy says opponent's personnel. Like, I'll just discard this to kill my own guy and put him on. You can't kill the captain.
Wow. I'm looking right now. Our diplomacy says, true treachery when applied to kill one other personnel present. Nope, anybody. Just once each turn, put the instance out of play, and you've got probably at least 2 of them, maybe 3 if you're spending resources because you got extra seat slots.
Yeah.
Just start killing your guys, kill 3, and then you got once per turn for the next 3 turns. You've got a random skill that you need to solve your mission.
Yeah.
Neat.
That's totally mirror thematic. They would totally kill their own guys to get skills.
You, Ensign Ricky. Blah.
Ah, crap.
Someone I have a second copy of in my hand. Blah. All right, very good. So we've covered the convention you went to. We covered the tournament that neither of us went to. We covered the show that neither of us wanted to watch. And we've got a spoiler that's coming out in a couple months, I'm guessing. Summer, it said? Did it say summer?
Well, it came up. Summer has been the tagline. So
Summer
there's not a lot of
2015.
summer left. As soon as we start seeing those teasers, though, that's usually a sign that spoilers are imminent, which then means release is imminent. So
maybe by the end of the month we'll see something.
Usually Labor Day is usually the end of summer, and that's late this year, so they could go into the first week of September and still squeak in.
All right, sounds good. All right, anything else before we wrap this up then?
I don't know. Hang on, let me take a drink here.
Was that a Rogue can of Coke?
It is. They had a special. See, I have enough. Drank enough so you can actually see it.
Rogue. Very good. Well, wait a minute. Didn't someone else have that, or someone shared that with you?
Oh, my wife shared that with me.
Was that at the convention? They had make their own Cokes?
They had little machines that you could stand in line, and they had the little 7.5 ounce cans, and you could get 2 of them. And so you put in 2 names that you wanted, and they printed them out, and so you got to get whatever you wanted, as long as it was a first name and within they had a certain number of guidelines. But we're like, well, what are we gonna get? Well, I go this and that, and Caitlin's like, I can get a Caitlin on any Coke. I'm gonna get these characters from the 100 that I ship. So she did that, and then the line was smaller because it was the end of the day. So we got back in line and got more characters from the 100 and entertained her. So, and now I have my own can, and I'm going to put it on my desk.
Yeah, nice. It sounds like you guys had a good time. I think we've got. I think I'm going to be out this weekend. We've got another tournament coming up in not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. It'll be at one of the events. So hopefully we can all get together for some first edition Trek and some troubles and tribbles afterward. Sound good? Sounds
good. You're going to be out of town this weekend, you say?
This Saturday it's that time of year where random groups of people get together and draft fantasy football teams. And my former office, who all mostly got laid off and went their separate ways, are all getting back together again because we did this for like the last 3 years. We took over a conference room and had pizza delivered. So this year we're all going over to one of the guys' house up in Orange County, and we'll all have a draft and probably share stories about where we're working now since we're not working there anymore. Should be a good time.
Well, if you're free on Sunday, there is at the Villainous Lair, gaming related, a pre-release for the My Little Pony CCG expansion, Equestrian Odysseys, which I finally managed to convince a local card shop to host, so we don't have to drive to LA to go to one.
And it would be beneficial for you for as many people to show up as possible, so that the game store sees, oh, look, this is popular. We should do this again.
Exactly.
I see. All right. Well,
so if anybody is in the area,
yeah. All right.
It's at noon on Sunday.
Noon on Sunday is not bad. A couple hours over there, and then head back.
Yeah, and it's half-hour rounds. Sealed decks is very quick. I played in one at Gen Con, and it was only less than 3 hours for 5 rounds. So.
All right. I'll mark my calendar. How's that?
I could not expect anything more.
All right. Let me actually physically mark my calendar here. While I do that, we can wrap up the show.
All right. Well, that is definitely all the intelligence we have this week. More intelligence, but more disparate. Next week, we'll have a report from the pre-release and hopefully some more spoilers for you, and definitely another episode of the animated series. In the meantime, I am Sir Rogue.
And I'm Sir Dan, and I'm going to a glue tournament later on.
Glue? Oh, and I will remind you all to expand your power in the universe.
And I will tap a pony to end.